and this like enhancing the world of audio, like bring it to the next level.
And motivation, I would say it's not always motivation, but the discipline.
It's about how you translate all this to the people you're working with, and how you also translate this to your viewers.
Thank you all for being here. I'll just start off by introducing myself. I'm Michaela.
My name is Philip.
Hi, I'm Rashawn.
I'm Deshaun.
Okay, well, we're going to be going over how to develop your own motion comic. And this is like first-hand experience because we developed a motion comic as a team, us and some that could not be here today, breaking down production phases and development process along with like a visual representation of an actual motion comic. So here's the table of contents. So we got the intro, basically just the summary I just went over. This is conceptualizing, writing, world building, your story concepts. And then we got 3 concept art. This is developing the actual story art and like the planning and pre-production phase. 4 we have production. That's just the production process. You're building your team and project management. 5 we have audio, and this is like enhancing the world of audio, like bring it to the next level with scripting, storyboarding, budgeting, and gathering equipment, assembling cast and production team. So I guess on a smaller scale, this might be gathering some friends, like seeing if there's anyone on campus or at your school that would be interested in this project, and then assembling a team from there. And then production, this is where the drawing process begins. This includes inking, sketching, and coloring the story itself. And then post-production, this would be editing, sound mixing, and sound design, and any like special effects or visual effects that you want to add to the project. Very cyberpunk type vibe, but also some like sci-fantasy. So I guess just going down the list, we have current city, and I just archived a bunch of things. I got very inspired by like the mod, like 60s futurism and also like Y2K aspects, and this is like the capital because AI is like the ruling class in this world. Found abilities and powers, and she's going on an adventure. So this is the cool art. All of these I think were developed by different artists actually too, like every single one of these. Yeah. So that's just like where it comes into play, where you're working with a team of people. Everyone has a different vision, but we all were able to make it cohesive and coherent and look really good. So I think that you can recognize this character, and I think, you know, this is just part of the process. This is what I put together over here. That's the best way I could like express what I was thinking. But yeah. And then next we have Riles. This is like a supporting character, love interests, and these sketches is like sort of the lower class. I got inspired by like the grunge, alternative Y2K movement, and the retro tech, because like stuff that was cool in the 2000s is like starting to come back, with like the flip phones and like the older headphones and like all of the like gadgets and stuff people would have. So I thought that was cool. And then this is the elf sectors. That's like that fantasy element that I want to bring in. It's like
pass that on and say, I want it to look like this.
Yeah.
This way.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it was. Like I showed the team, we looked through this and like add images for inspiration. And so because I'm not the best artist myself, it was really important that I was able to convey my vision. And then so that's where like the art director would come in and he would take that vision and make something and create something cool from it. So yeah. So we can go back to the presentation, but I just want to show you guys. I'm really proud of for that.
Can I say something? Okay, so following what she said, right? So I find it like very important, like since she is the director, right? I work as a line artist, right? And I think it's important that we have these references in place so that we know what we're doing. So especially since I'm line arting. So when a sketch is handed to me, right, I have to look at this sketch and be able to interpret what I'm drawing. Sometimes I don't fully get the picture, right? And a lot of the references is so you guys can understand the communication behind what you're drawing. And especially when you're on a team, if you are on a team, these references, not just the ones shown on Pinterest, but it's about how you translate all this to the people you're working with, and how you also translate this to your viewers. So by giving us these references, me personally, by giving me these references, I'm able to understand who I'm drawing, what I'm drawing, why I'm drawing it, how the characters should be placed, how the characters should be looking. And then if maybe, like, let's say maybe somebody drew a sketch and it's not a fully fleshed out sketch, up to me, I can put in details that I think would maybe improve on this character, and then we can pass these back and forth between each other. And this is how you improve on the story, this is how you improve on the world, and this is how you improve on the characters. So like she was saying, it's important to have these references in place. And I just wanted to make sure that it's pointed out that having references is very imperative. Like it's
for any creative projects that you're doing.
Exactly.
Like,
Question for that is there such thing as too much of a reference for one particular thing?
I think I can answer that one. I would say it's never enough to use. There's never enough references. So for like our project, it's a combination of sci-fi and fantasy. So what I like to do is I like to look at both a lot of cyberpunk stuff and then also just straight up classical fantasy, medieval stuff. And how can I take some elements out of that, take some elements out of cyberpunk, and kind of combine them together.
Like maybe like the metal armor and like a metal robot android, and like how can you create a design
create a cohesive design that fits and like really brings out the world and the characters in the world. Being an artist, at least me, or a creative in general, looking at just everything, observing life, even real life. I take real inspiration from stuff I see every day in regular street fashion, stuff like that.
So as an artist, there's a level of creativity that you always kind of like strive for, but using a lot of references from someone else's like vision, do you guys butt heads when it comes to trying to find that person's vision?
All the time.
How do you, when you come to that, predicament, how do you handle such?
We fight to the death, obviously.
We're all still alive.
We just we might clash heads, especially in the early stages when we're like first developing things. We may not have agreed on certain ways,
character design
and stuff like that. And so we'd be like, okay, we got to work with each other, and maybe it's really just communication. At the end of the day, just kind of like compromise. It's very hard as a creative to compromise on things that you really want to see, but you gotta swallow sometimes your pride on that, and just be like, hey, I'll compromise on this, but let's do something like this, or find something completely different that neither one of you two, thought you would like, and do that instead. So it's really just communication is really how that kind of goes down. Stuff like that, but my at least is my artistic process. Michaela will maybe come to me and we'll go over the script, and she'll maybe even do a little doodle for us and be like, hey, this is kind of how I want it done. And so then I'll re-sketch that doodle and try to turn it into a full sketch. And then I'll give it to our inkers. Sometimes I'll ink it, sometimes I'll send it off to our other inkers. And they'll do their job and then send them to our colors, they'll do their job, and it kind of goes down that line. But I'd say I'm more of been kind of on the storyboard side of things, so I just kind of interpret the script and then turn it into like at least a comprehensive sketch for everyone, and if you have questions, you'll find collaboration, because right here I had a little sketch, and you can see he has a really big claw arm, and Michaela was like, no, we can't do that, and I was like, are you sure we can't do that? And I was like,
Well, I like that. It's just that it's kind of difficult to draw.
yeah.
Again, like this being like the pilot episode, I didn't want to overcomplicate things, just because of like limited resources when you don't really like have a budget. So he's a very, very talented artist. So I don't know that it would be as easy to be replicated, but with this design and everything, it's a little bit simpler. But later down the line, he can definitely get an upgrade. Like,
Yeah.
definitely, easily change that out. Like, that could be anything. Like, that could be a cannon. Like,
Every character that sort of progresses will have different modifications.
Yeah.
The main antagonist or maybe something like that along
Yeah, that's definitely
Yeah.
what we thought about. So, it's kind of that idea of like, maybe not here, but we can compromise. Maybe we'll have them like that later down the road. You know what I mean? And, I always think back, and motivation, I would say it's not always motivation, but the discipline to stay on track and to do kind of what you need to do to get things done is kind of what gets there. And, I know that sounds, like very, hard nails, but it's true. But, sometimes just,
that's his own thing. So I thought that was cool.
And you had a question.
At what point or what stage did you feel comfortable enough to like move on and expand further? Because it started at a very small scale, obviously. And at what point did you tell yourself, or maybe when you created your team, did you guys like discuss among yourself, okay, we're ready for the next step? When was that decision made, and how did you guys come to that conclusion?
Well, like, funny enough, like, it actually started as a student project. So basically I had been like world building before, like just for fun.
I wish everyone was here. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I wish everyone was here. We have musicians, voice actors, and other line artists that help, and we couldn't do it without them. We have a really nice system going, and it's just nice to know that we have people on our team, and that's why I'd say it's very important. You don't have to have a team, but it really does help to make things a little bit more efficient and run smoothly. So yeah.
It's like the goal, but it's so expensive, and it's very time consuming. So with us starting from ground zero, I felt like it was best to do motion comic and just start that way, because you always want to start a little bit maybe a little bit smaller, and then basically do everything that you would do if you did have a big budget, but on a smaller scale. So that's why we did motion comic. So yeah, I actually do want to get into a special announcement. So actually releasing on July 1st of this year. So that's 37 days until the release. And this is the cover art. I wish I could make it bigger. I guess I could. Nope, let's not zoom in, zoom out more. Nice. Maybe if I zoom out.
Really appreciate it. If you want to check out that Discord or our links, you can come up here at the table and scan the link and the QR code. But other than that, thank you guys for showing up.